A deadly tornado tears across southern Indiana, claiming at least 14 lives and leaving a trail of destruction miles long.
There ain't no words to describe it. I've lived here 35 years and ain't never seen a tornado hit like this.
I'm Chance Walser in Henryville, where one person is confirmed dead, though the feeling here is that number could rise as search efforts continue. The latest from devastated Clark County coming up.
Thanks for waking up with a special Saturday edition of Good Morning Indiana. I'm Grace Trahan, and our breaking news coverage continues this morning following the deadly tornadoes that raced Friday from the Gulf Coast to the Great Lakes. In Indiana, the death toll remains at 14. No new deaths were reported overnight. 4 each in Washington and Jefferson counties, 3 in Scott County, 2 in Ripley County, and 1 in Clark County. All of this is in southern Indiana. Now, altogether, there are at least 31 deaths total in 3 states, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. 3 new deaths reported in those states overnight. We have team coverage for you this morning in some of the hardest hit areas. Chance Walser is in Henryville. Julie Persley is in Skycam 6. We're also live in Ripley County. We start, though, with Chance in Henryville in Clark County. That's just off I-65, about 20 miles north of Louisville. And that's where officials this morning say there is at least 1 death. Chance.
They don't want to have a running total, but right now 1 confirmed death. I can tell you, though, the overall feeling here is that number very well could rise throughout the day. Back to you.
Chance, it does seem eerily quiet there this morning. Have you seen many people walking around checking their property this morning?
There aren't a lot, Grace, to be honest with you. There's a lot of news crews right along this street doing their morning TV shows, but it is pretty quiet. There are some sirens. I can see people walking off in the distance still searching, but as things pick up today, those efforts are going to be in full force. And again, the high school and the real epicenter, I guess, if you want to call it, in Clark County, in Henryville, is a few hundred yards that way, so there could be a lot going on there. We haven't made our way down there yet, though.
And I assume they have shelters set up in that area.
Yeah, it's a good question. They do have several shelters set up in the outlying towns. One of them has as many as 300 beds last night, which was expected to be full. But yes, people do have provisions, a place to stay for those who are without homes last night, water, food. They're being well taken care of by EMS workers and everybody else, just going around making sure everybody has what they need to get through this time.
And you do have to be very careful as you navigate in that area. Lots of power lines down, lots of debris.
Yeah, lots of it. As you can see, I ducked one. I think it's safe. You just never know, but yeah, power lines are down everywhere, Grace. Communication is still a big issue. Police are still asking people here in the area not to use their cell phones because last night it was impeding some emergency correspondence that needed to take place, so people asked to stay off their phones. And one other thing I'll mention, the local sheriff's office said a lot of people have been coming in asking to help. They said they don't need any help from other areas, volunteer fire departments, other just people who want to get in and get help. They said there'll be plenty of opportunity for that in the coming days. Right now, they want all those people to stay away so emergency crews can get in and continue and finish up the search.
Right, don't want to get in the way, but people definitely want to help out. We'll be giving along more information about that in the days ahead. Thank you. Chance Walser live in Clark County. Now, a 2-year-old girl found in a field in Salem, Indiana, is now with family at a Louisville Children's Hospital. Officials say a family member contacted them after hearing about the discovery of a little girl on the news. At last check, she was in critical condition. 2 other children, ages 8 and 11, were also found in that same field. Both suffered blunt force injuries. One remains in serious condition, the other is in fair. And farm fields are littered with debris and roads blocked after the storm swept through the small community of Merrillsville, wiping it entirely from the landscape. The storm damaged the school and destroyed a church, lifting it from its foundation. Firefighters, sheriff deputies, and members of the Indiana National Guard spent most of the night patrolling the debris-littered streets, securing power lines left dangling by the powerful winds. Residents say it took only seconds for the storm to sweep across the town, destroying everything in its path.
I seen it at a long distance, but when you really got up to see the tail and the debris and all that, it didn't last long because it was here and gone.
Oh, it's going to be a long process. A lot of people trying to salvage what property they can find, then clean up the area.
Our neighborhood has been very lucky. It's been very devastated with the damage, but at least no one lost their life, so we've been very fortunate.
The town of Henryville is definitely one of the hardest hit. That's where we saw a school bus rammed into a structure. Thankfully, that bus had been parked and empty when the powerful wind sent it flying. And this is the junior-senior high school in Henryville. It was ripped apart. About 80 people were inside at the time. They all survived. Our TV6 reporter Chris Prophet is also live in Henryville this morning for us. Good morning, Chris.
Hi, Grace. You know, I've been doing this an awful long time, and they will be out here throughout the day, of course, and in the coming days, the governor, of course, is going to be touring this area if he hasn't already, and we have seen just people around here literally dazed at times when they're just walking around and trying to comprehend this devastation, Grace.
And have you seen many emergency crews out this morning, Chris, and perhaps keeping people away from the area for safety's sake?
Yeah, we actually have, and we're just right off of Interstate 65, Grace. They've blocked the exits coming into Henryville because they don't want people to come in here and take pictures and to look around and try to see this firsthand. They don't want those people in here, and they really don't belong in here right now because these emergency workers have to continue their jobs today and over the next several days. So now you will not get in here. They're asking for IDs. They will stop you and they will tell you to get out of this area.
All right, Chris, well, thank you for that live report, and do be careful. We appreciate your coverage this morning. Now, the damage in southern Indiana is beyond what most expected. So how did this storm come together to become so destructive? Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory has the answers.
Less than 10% of miles per hour or more.
And meteorologist Stephanie Ortman is also with us this morning. And where are those storms now?
They are moving through the southeast U.S. and we're still looking at severe weather with this line of storms as it moves out to the east and over the Atlantic Ocean. But we still have to wait a little bit before that happens. Let's take a look at the radar. I have more on that local forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. We'll see you again soon. You know, while most people run away from the danger of a storm like this, others head right to it. We'll hear from some Purdue storm chasers coming up. Right now it is 8:14 and 32 degrees. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 8:17 right now, and here's another live look at Henryville for you this morning. And we've been hearing about people wanting to go to the area and help. Not surprising whatsoever, but right now emergency responders are telling us just to hold off, stay out of the area. They're still trying to clean up and assess, and in the days ahead we'll learn more about how we can all help the people affected by these storms pick up their lives. Well, a couple of Purdue University students made their way to southern Indiana as storm chasers. They stopped by the studio to talk with our TV6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory about what they saw.
I'm with Mally, and many days like we saw yesterday.
That's right. To say the least, Kevin. And you were saying it's going to take days to assess the strength of these tornadoes and exactly how many there were.
Yeah, there were numerous reports from the SPC, and when we say reports, several people can see the same tornado, and that could be 2 to 3 reports. So they don't know exactly if one tornado caused damage in numerous areas or if it was 2 separate tornadoes.
Okay.
So they're going to assess everything over the next few days, and we're going to get more information. But I've already seen some meteorologists talking that preliminary reports look like EF4s possibly down in southern Indiana, but that is not official.
Okay.
So just devastation down to our south, and they're continuing to see some severe weather. 50s to around 60 degrees by midweek. Grace?
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Now, the death toll from Friday's violent rash of tornadoes stands at 31 in 3 states. The light of day is likely to add to that number as the search for the injured and the missing goes on. The danger zone was so vast in its height yesterday that 37 million people were potentially in harm's way. ABC's TJ Winnick joins us live from Smithville, Tennessee this morning. Good morning, TJ.
Grace, good morning to you. As you mentioned, a state of emergency has been declared. Reporting live in Smithville, Tennessee, TJ Winnick, RTV6. Grace?
And TJ, how did the state of Tennessee fare in all of this?
Well, you know, after getting absolutely clobbered on Wednesday, folks around here were quite fortunate. There are no deaths at this point that we know of across the state of Tennessee, even though there were several tornadoes that touched down. We can tell you down in Chattanooga, about 24 people were sent to the hospital with various injuries. And over in Hamilton County, about 20 homes were literally ripped off their foundations. But again, folks here are quite fortunate when you consider just the amount of devastation across the tornado zone.
And how are the search and rescue efforts going this morning? I know it's still early.
Well, it is still early, and certainly overnight in the tornado zone, officials went out into the wreckage looking for an unknown amount of people. And now, since it's morning, authorities are certainly getting a better idea of just how many unaccounted people there are, but certainly a fluid and developing situation, and one we'll be following.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. TJ Winnick reporting live for us this morning from Tennessee. And more pictures are coming in of the actual tornado caught on tape. We'll have a look for you, and here's another live look at Henryville this morning. So much more ahead for you as we continue our coverage of this tornado outbreak here on the special edition of Good Morning Indiana. It is 8:26 and 32 degrees. Welcome back. The time right now is 8:28, and this is a live look at the destruction in southern Indiana this morning. We're continuing to get new accounts and video of the tornado that touched down in Henryville. For example, one man saw the twister moving toward his house, and he pulled out his iPad and filmed it. You can see the tornado hit a gas station. The man says he watched as he crossed I-65. He watched the tornado as it picked up tractor trailers, spitting out debris as it leveled the entire area. In Ripley County, homes like this one were literally ripped apart as the storms rolled through. As you can see in this video, the strong winds blew down walls, leaving debris strewn throughout the entire home. The roof was also blown off, insulation left hanging from what's left of the ceiling. The homeowner describes what it was like to ride out the storm.
We got in the basement, it just sounded like a train going through. It does. And it was through like 2-3 minutes and it's gone. Calm can be.
Now, Governor Daniels is headed to southern Indiana this morning to see the destruction firsthand. He's due to arrive in Henryville at about 9 o'clock. Last night, he issued this statement. Our every thought is with those we've lost and those who have suffered. We've also learned so much and improved so much in disaster preparedness, warning systems, and responder communications, but we still are no match for Mother Nature at her worst. Now, Chance Walliser is live in Henryville for us this morning. Good morning, Chance.
Yeah, Grace, live in Henryville, where destruction like this goes on for miles. The latest in the efforts to search for victims coming up.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 8:33 on this Saturday, March 3rd, and welcome back to a special Saturday edition of Good Morning Indiana. We're keeping you updated on the deadly tornado that claimed 14 lives in Indiana. Governor Daniels is on his way to Henryville right now to begin surveying the damage, and that's where RTV6 reporter Chance Walliser is live this morning. Good morning, Chance.
Grace, how are you? I'm
at that school that was badly damaged. We will have his comments for you, Grace, coming up tonight on our RTV6 News at 6.
All right, we know you will. Thank you. Chris Proffitt reporting live for us this morning. And Stephanie Ortman is now with us, and we're still not out of the woods in this country from this storm.
Yeah, here in Indiana, we are free and clear, which is great for the cleanup efforts down to our south. Other parts of the country not so lucky. That cold front still has not moved out of the U.S. and it's still bringing some severe weather to parts of the U.S. right now. Let's go ahead and take a look. A few minutes. Grace, back over to you.
All right, we'll see you soon, Stephanie. And we continue this special edition of the tornado devastation coming up here on Good Morning Indiana. We want to let you know that the governor is in Henryville this morning, and he's going to be touring the devastation today. And he, of course, will have more comments for the media. We'll have full coverage for you on our website, theindychannel.com, and on our news later this evening. We will be back. It's 8:39. Welcome back. It is 8:42, and we're also following another big story today involving Colts quarterback Peyton Manning. ESPN is reporting Manning took another positive step forward in his recovery from neck surgery by conducting an aggressive throwing session at Duke University. In this video posted to YouTube, you can see a player, reportedly Manning, completing passes. We have not independently confirmed the player in the video is Peyton. You'll have to decide for yourself. Sources at Duke and those close to number 18 confirmed to ESPN that he has been throwing in shoulder pads and a helmet since Tuesday. Manning has increased his throwing regimen as Colts owner Jim Irsay contemplates a decision on whether to exercise a $28 million option before the March 8th roster deadline. Of course, we'll keep you updated on this story throughout the day on our website, theindychannel.com. And of course, the other big story of the day, the devastation in southern Indiana. This is that bus now that we've been talking about that was just picked up by the tornado and thrust into a building. Thankfully, the bus was parked and empty at the time. No injuries associated there. And there's the high school there in Henryville, just obliterated, but thankfully, again, no students injured there. They were not injured in that building. And just northeast of Henryville and Marysville, residents are left with the task of rebuilding their community after the storm wiped it entirely from the landscape. Fields are littered with debris and roads are blocked after the storm swept through. Homes were literally just lifted from their foundation. A church and a school also heavily damaged. Authorities spent most of the night patrolling the streets and securing power lines that were torn from their poles by those strong winds.
Through the track of the tornado, it's pretty much total devastation, flattened the houses, and families are total loss.
It's pretty devastating, but it could have been a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse.
It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah, I mean, been here lots of years, never experienced this, and it could be a whole lot worse.
Just a devastating situation there, and it will be some more time before we know exactly the strength of those tornadoes that hit southern Indiana. And we have more coverage of this breaking story coming up for you on this special Saturday edition of Good Morning Indiana. It is 8:44 right now and 32 degrees here in Indianapolis. It is 8:47 now. Welcome back to this special edition of Good Morning Indiana. New accounts and video of the tornado that touched down in Henryville continue to come in this morning. Now, these are pictures of the twister moving toward a gas station. Witnesses watch in horror from inside the building as the twister crosses I-65, picking up tractor trailers and dropping them like toy cars before leveling the entire area. Just such a scary sight there. Joining us now on the phone is Jordan Witt, who is with the State Joint Information Center. Jordan, thank you for joining us this morning. Tell us about the state effort, the coordinated effort now as we begin to clean up and assess the situation in southern Indiana.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Grace. Now that it's daylight, we can actually start, major operations, search and rescue. It's at night. It's really hard to get that stuff going, especially with the area that was hit, all the trees that were down, the power lines, et cetera, make that really difficult for search and rescue operators to get in and really do their work. So now is the time where we can make sure we've got clear paths to where we're going and make sure that we can get people checked out.
And we've been hearing from a lot of Hoosiers, not surprisingly, who want to help, who maybe want to go to the area and reach out, but you're advising people not to do that because you need to get your job done first.
Absolutely. If you would like to help, honestly, the best way that you can do that is by making a donation, and that would be through the American Red Cross of Greater Indianapolis. Going to the scene is actually causes logistical problems. It kind of muddies the water for us a little bit. We definitely appreciate the good intentions, but unless you're specifically called and requested down there, definitely stay back and do what you can where you are.
And this is definitely, and this is going to be a long process as we look at the video and just the scope of the damage there. Any idea how long this is going to take?
As long as it has to. That's the best answer I can give you. Honestly, we don't really know until we get into the thick of things and start making some progress. I believe Governor Daniels is down there this morning, or going to be down there this morning, assessing the scene, and he'll give us a better idea of what he wants done as well. So we kind of follow his lead, and then we'll let you know.
All right, and state police there as well, the American Red Cross. Do you know how many shelters are set up down there?
There are 4 American Red Cross shelters right now down there, but we just had a 5th shelter open. That is, it's not American Red Cross, but it is a shelter down there in Henryville, a Country Lake Christian Retreat. That is just information that we received just a few minutes ago.
So people can go there for shelter, for food, for water,
Absolutely.
and for other assistance as well.
Absolutely. We encourage them to do so.
All right, thank you. Jordan Witt from the State Joint Information Center, thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
All right, thanks a lot, Grace.
You're welcome.
Right.
And just taking a look at that devastation, it breaks your heart. And like you said, there's really no way to tell how many tornadoes did all this damage because they can touch down, go back up, and touch down again.
Yes, and that would be considered 2 tornadoes.
And that would be
not
considered
1.
2. Okay, so the same tornado, though, can just spread out over a long area. But if it goes back up and comes back down, it's considered 2.
Yes,
okay.
And the Storm Prediction Center, I believe, had 16 tornado reports from southern Indiana and, of course, across the whole state. It was mainly down in the southern part of the state. That does not mean 16 tornadoes. That just means 16 reports. And, of course, they will be going down, assessing the damage, looking at the possible wind speeds with these tornadoes. And, of course, that will come out in the next couple of days, what they come up with and whether or not they were EF3s, EF4s, or, heaven forbid, say an EF5. Looking at that damage, it's pretty sad to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for us here in central Indiana, how does it look for us today?
You know what, it looks pretty good. That cold front continues to move eastward. It's well away from the state now, but still bringing some severe weather to parts of the country. Let's take a look at where it's at currently. Then a 40% chance of rain on Thursday. Grace?
All right, thank you, Stephanie. And our special edition of Good Morning Indiana continues right after a quick break. It is 8:53. We'll be right back. All morning, we've been continuing our coverage of breaking news following the deadly tornadoes that swept across the country from the Gulf Coast to the Great Lakes. In Indiana, the death toll remains at 14. 4 each in Washington and Jefferson counties, 3 in Scott County, 2 in Ripley County, and 1 in Clark County. This is all in southern Indiana. Governor Daniels is there. He'll be touring the areas hardest hit by the destruction. Last night, he issued a statement saying, quote, "Our every thought is with those we've lost and those who have suffered." Altogether, there are at least 31 deaths total in 3 states, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. And of course, we'll continue to follow this story throughout the day, bringing you the latest on the recovery efforts on RTV6 and on our website, theindychannel.com. And that storm still causing problems in the southern part of the country.
Yeah, right now, tornado watch in effect for southern Georgia, extreme southeastern Alabama, and the northern portion of Florida and the panhandle there until 2 o'clock this afternoon as a pretty strong line of storms moves through. Now, here in central Indiana, we're not looking at any kind of severe weather today. That's very good news. Just mostly cloudy skies. It's going to be a cold day with a high of 40 degrees. Winds will be breezy out of the west, 15 to 25, with gusts up to 30 miles per hour, but no wind advisory in place tomorrow. A chance of a rain-snow mix with less wind around.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. And of course, we'll keep you on top of this story all day long on our website, theindychannel.com, and be back with you tonight at 6. Have a good day.
On TV, online, on your mobile device. Stay connected with RTV6.